Before we go tonight, let's just go around the table and around to all of our guests here about how being a reporter during this pandemic has been for you and what has changed about your method and your life as you report in the middle of a crisis. Yamiche?
I've always said that the things that make me cry are probably the things that I should be focused on. And I have to say that this week I've cried a lot. And I've cried a lot because I feel like people are so scared. And the stories about people, especially in Italy and in the United States, about not having to visit their loved ones, about not being able to go see an old friend. Like I have a 96-year-old friend that I had on the calendar to go visit this last weekend. I couldn't do that because I was too scared to put her at risk. So I think for me, as a White House reporter who visits people and goes out into the country, but is also very focused on policy and what the president's doing, it's been making me think more about how to be compassionate and how to ask questions that everyday Americans want to know from this president. And that's what I've been trying to do. And I've been trying to just listen to my family and listen to my friends and say, what are people really talking about on their group chats and in their neighborhood boards that people want to have elevated to the presidency?
Jake?
Yeah, as Eamon said, I mean, Washington now is shut down until the end of April. Schools are closed, restaurants are closed for another 6 weeks. I've been working mostly out of my house, and it's been challenging, but luckily, I mean, it's not that different in some senses, because as we all know, we're always texting and emailing with sources. Nothing beats being there, but the Capitol right now is I don't want to say a dangerous place, but it's a place where two lawmakers have been diagnosed, a couple staffers have been diagnosed. It's a place, as we all know, and I hate to say this with Nancy there right now, but it's a place that's crawling with germs on a good day. But listen, we're lucky, we're fortunate that we have our health, and I mean, it's a scary thing, as Yamiche said. I mean, there's a lot of small businesses in the communities that we live in Washington and in the surroundings that are just going to really struggle to stay without business, to pay their employees for the next 6 weeks. And this bill that the Senate and the House are going to be working on looks to ease some of those tensions. And I hope some of these businesses can find ways to keep open and keep their doors open and keep people employed.
Nancy?
Well, you know, this economic package that is coming together at lightning speed here on Capitol Hill will probably be the most expensive bill that I've ever covered as a congressional correspondent. And so normally what I would want to do at every opportunity is to get face-to-face with these senators and grill them on behalf of the American people about what's in the bill, who's going to get the money, how much, what kind of strings are going to be attached, what are the sticking points, and so on and so on. But obviously there is a risk that in some ways is even higher for me because I'm a lifelong asthmatic. So I have to think about every interaction that I have. Is it worth it from a health standpoint? Even though from a journalistic standpoint, of course, I want to talk to as many people as possible. So we have to come up with workarounds. You know, we have some very intrepid younger journalists who have been following these senators, talking to them. Obviously, I'm making more phone calls and talking to fewer people in person, but it has been a big adjustment, particularly when you're talking about the taxpayers' dollars, as much as $2 or $3 trillion worth of it, and this might not be the end of it. Nancy,
I really appreciate you going to the Capitol and going to Capitol Hill tonight to be on this program. It means a lot, really. With all of that you just laid out, you just underscored how much you've sacrificed and you're committed to the mission of reporting. Eamon, just wrap us up with your own thoughts.
Yeah, look, I mean, the little things of life, you know, I'm talking to you right now through an iPad that's on a tripod that's hooked up to a cell phone. I can't imagine doing this even 10 years ago. This job would be undoable right now. With the technology that we do have, it is doable from my living room here in front of my bookcase. But, you know, those are the little things. What I think about right now, Bob, are the big things, right? We're looking at an economic catastrophe here, potentially. And I think the concern that I've been dwelling with as I look at this is the concern that the pilot light in the economy could be about to go out. And we might not have the ability to restart that, right? So everyone's looking at, do we have a V-shaped recovery? Do we have a U-shaped recovery? The fear here is that we have an L-shaped recovery. It goes down and straight lines, and we don't see any recovery at all. There's so many industries that are going to be damaged so severely by going to near zero revenue that you can't really imagine them getting restarted if this goes on for any significant length of time. And all of the health science tells us that this is going to go on for some significant amount of time, because it's about a year to a year and a half until we can see a vaccine. So how does that change American life, American politics, and the American economy, and who's going to be hurt by that devastation? That's really what's on my mind and what I've been dwelling with this week, Bob.
Thank you, Eamon, and thank you to everyone who joined us tonight.